Choose any ATM of your convenience and stand a chance to win gold sovereigns.
Lanka Pay.
Government proposes to implement a national export development plan for the period from 2025 to 2029 aimed at boosting Sri Lanka's exports of goods and services. A new tariff policy and a new customs law will be introduced. Efforts will also expand double taxation avoidance agreements with priority given to trade partners with high potential. The government plans to revise the Economic Transformation Act to accommodate new developments and lease underutilized state-owned land for productive purposes. An investment protection bill is to be introduced and 750 million rupees will be allocated through 2025 for the National Quality Infrastructure System to provide the fundamental steps towards fulfilling Sri Lanka's potential as a hub for trade, logistics, financial services and digital economy. Expressions of interest will soon be initiated for the completion of East and West container terminals along with the development of Colombo West Terminal 2 and Colombo North Port projects. It is proposed to allocate 500 million rupees for initial works related to the Kerawalapitia Customs Yard and Blue Mendel Logistics Park. Another 500 million rupees will support the development of digital systems for ports, including the National Single Window Truck Appointment System and e-cargo tracking. The government will focus on the introduction of a Sri Lanka unique digital identification system for all citizens, strengthen related cybersecurity and privacy legislation, and promote digital payments infrastructure. With the aim of supporting the transition from cash to digital payments, 3 billion rupees has been allocated for the digital economic development. Critical infrastructure is to be prioritized for development of tourism between 2025 and 2026, supported by an integrated marketing campaign which will receive 500 million rupees. All luxury vehicles that incur high running and maintenance costs are to be auctioned. To reduce financial risks from state-owned enterprises, government plans to establish a holding company that will oversee select state-owned enterprises. 7.5 billion rupees will also be allocated to provide nutritious food, especially for pregnant women. An additional 5 billion will be earmarked for the Triposha program and 120 million to support programs for the prevention of violence against women and children, while 720 million rupees will maintain a national network for women's welfare programs. The 2025 health budget has been increased to 604 billion, with 185 billion allocated for the procurement of pharmaceuticals and medical supplies. Government has allocated 10 billion rupees to upgrade schools' infrastructure. Additionally, 135 billion rupees is set aside to improve the quality of university education. Monthly Grade 5 scholarship benefits will increase from 750 rupees to 1,500 rupees, with 1,000 million rupees allocated for the initiative. Students in sports schools will see their monthly nutritious food allowance doubled from 5,000 to 10,000 rupees. Vocational education students will receive an increased stipend from 4,000 rupees to 5,000 rupees per month, with an additional 200 million rupees allocated. The Mahapala scholarship will rise from 5,000 rupees to 7,500 rupees and bursaries will be increased from 4,000 rupees to 6,500 rupees, supported by a 4,600 million rupee budget allocation. A new program will offer top-performing A-level students scholarships to pursue undergraduate degrees at high-ranking universities abroad, with 200 million rupees allocated for the initiative. A specialized sports school is proposed to be established in 5 provinces, namely Western, Northern, Central, Uva and North Central, with an allocation of 500 million rupees. Another 100 million rupees will be allocated to provide computers and other essential facilities for the Jaffna Library, and an additional 200 million rupees will be earmarked for the development of regional libraries. In the energy sector, the government plans to focus on developing the Trincomalee oil tank complex with international partners to access global markets. It is expected to develop 61 oil tanks as joint ventures with internationally recognized companies, in addition to the oil tanks owned by Ceylon Petroleum Corporation and Lanka Indian Oil Company in the Trincomalee oil tank complex, which has 99 tanks of 10,000 metric ton capacity. 250 million rupees is also proposed to be allocated for the Department of Railways to cater to the growing commuter demands. To address debt resettlement for national carrier Sri Lankan Airlines, 20 billion rupees is proposed to be allocated. It is proposed to sign an agreement with commercial banks and set aside 10 billion rupees for loan capital repayment in 2025 and 10 billion rupees for interest repayments. The airline would be fully responsible for ensuring operating profitability once these legacy debt service costs are settled by the government. To enhance road infrastructure, 1 billion rupees is to be allocated to rehabilitate rural bridges in addition to the already allocated 1 billion rupees for the development of the rural bridges island-wide. The fertilizer subsidy will be continued for paddy farmers with 35 billion allocated for the year 2025. 2,500 million rupees has been allocated for improvements to dairy farming between 2025 and 2026. A total of 78 billion is allocated for the development of irrigation systems, including new water resource projects. An additional 2 billion rupees will be used to rehabilitate downstream irrigation schemes. Highlighting that the northern province has been isolated from mainstream development despite its potential to contribute significantly to the national economy, 5 billion rupees has been allocated to rehabilitate and improve rural roads and bridges in the region. A comprehensive development program will be implemented in the eastern province with Indian multi-sectoral grant assistance. This will focus on improving infrastructure and livelihoods in education, health, agriculture, fisheries, tourism and community empowerment. The government has also allocated 7.58 billion rupees for the development of the Malayalam community. Also, 500 million has been allocated to establish a chemical product manufacturing industrial estate in Paranthan in the northern province and industrial parks in Kankasanture, Mankulam, Iranavilla, Gaul and Shrinkamali. Meanwhile, 5 billion rupees has been allocated for a cultural festival to improve inter-ethnic, inter-religious and communal ties with additional donor contributions. In order to address the human-elephant conflict, 640 million rupees has been allocated for electric fencing, infrastructure improvements and compensation for victims. To address challenges in the north and east, 1.5 billion rupees is allocated to support resettlement, speed up the housing program and provide essential relief to homeless families in the region. Prioritizing the completion of key water supply projects, 20 billion rupees will be allocated as equity contribution for projects in Gampaha, Attanagalla, Minuangoda, Alutgama, Matugama, Agalavatta, Polgahawala, Alawwa, Potuhara and Tambuttegama. An additional 2 billion rupees is allocated for community water supply schemes. A strategic recruitment plan will be implemented to hire 30,000 individuals for essential public service roles and 10 billion rupees has been allocated for the initiative. Minimum monthly basic salaries for public sector employees will be increased by 15,750. It is proposed to increase salaries from 24,250 to 40,000 rupees at minimum. The increase will also apply to judicial services, public corporations, statutory boards, university staff and the tri-forces. In addition, the annual salary increment will be raised by 80% from 250 at present to 450 rupees. The total estimated cost of this salary increase is 325 billion rupees with 110 billion allocated for year 2025. Of the total net salary increase, 5,000 rupees and 30% of the balance amount will be paid starting from April 2025 and the remaining 70% paid in equal portions beginning January 2026 and January 2027. Private sector employees associations have agreed to increase minimum monthly wages for private sector employees from 21,000 rupees to 27,000 rupees in April 2025 and 30,000 rupees by 2026. To improve the living standards of plantations, the government will increase their daily wages to 1,700 rupees. To address pension anomalies, the pensions of all retirees before 1st January 2020 will be revised in 3 phases in line with 2020 salary scales. The first phase will revise pensions for those who retired before 1st January 2018 with 10 billion allocated. The payments will be made from July 2025.